Yo, what's going on, people? I go by Rasdakai. This is my channel called Rasdakai. Yeah, so this upcoming video, it's part three of something that I was wanting to do with the channel. I may do it in the future, I don't know. But if you haven't seen parts one and two, feel free to check those out. And without further ado, here's part three of Shooting the Shit featuring Rasool. Yeah, for me, I've for like a long time, I've been kind of anti stereotypical black films, and it's part of why I've never watched Oz. People will be like, "What, motherfucker? You ain't seen Oz? I think I'm gonna kick your ass." But for me, it's just like I just don't want to see black people in prison or black people selling drugs or
No, I
just like
feel
in
that.
these
I
typical
feel that.
lines.
I mean, it's a shame because so much of what is considered some of the greatest works, that portray black culture are based on crime, like The Wire.
Hmm.
Which is probably one of the most critically acclaimed TV series of all time, and it's definitely authentic. It's definitely got that edge to it. It feels real. You know that the black voices were included in the making of this, and it made
Yeah.
a statement at the time. But it still makes bad guys and heroes out of a very violent small cross section of black
Hmm.
folks, and it can maybe still play in the magically inclined mind that there's some culpability for the rest of us for Snoop's
Hmm.
behavior in The Wire. you know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
So I think I was thinking about The Wire and not Oz, but I think they both show black men in prison. But I think I might have mistaken it for The
Yeah, I
Wire.
mean, no, the Oz is definitely one of those you know black folks in prison shows, but I mean
Okay.
it obviously depicts a lot of things as well. Homosexuality behind bars, and
Yeah.
assault, and things like
Hmm.
really heavy themes.
Hmm.
And drug use obviously, and violence, and but it is, yeah, I think it is, when you really look across black film and some of the things that succeed, it does seem that the more violent and kind of typical it is of portraying black folks as victims of crime or criminals themselves, or in some way, I mean, maybe beholden or broken by whatever system we're looped in. It's like every movie can't be 12 Years a Slave, right? I mean, we need
Yeah.
12 Years a
Yeah.
Slave,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, one a year.
And
One
then,
12 years a
right,
slave
exactly.
per
The other
year.
nine, if we attend that year, the other nine need to be, the Bridgertons in outer space or something. We need some
They
sci-fi.
Yeah,
Out of
yeah,
the
yeah.
box.
Like any other slave movie just needs to wait their turn. You know what I'm
Or,
saying?
or involve aliens. Let me just
Yeah.
pitch that, and maybe we can pitch that as a show right here, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just,
Slaves
I
and
think,
aliens.
look, here's what I don't like. There's been a whole class of film, and it maybe kind of old Hollywood films, if you take it back to when people were essentially just play acting the crime novels of the 1950s, all these
Mm,
violent novels that came out after World War II ended, and a lot of the guys who fought in the war, who came back and were too damaged to raise their sons were going off to the store and buying these little dime store novels about Nazi death camps, and westerns and guys killing Indians, and I feel like that translated into this kind of film archetype, and that we've been kind of playing that out, and I don't want, as black folks, for us to just attach onto tropes that, if you look really at what they mean, it's really about a guy not being accountable for shooting and killing anybody who gets in his path, right? Or
Hmm.
whatever his righteous mission is at that time. And I feel like we have to take it more out of that, and more out of this kind of you know these tropes about black criminality and violence, and gang violence, and all these things that people associate with us as humans, as regular everyday humans. And we got to get some more creativity, some more love in these films.
Hmm.
But it's safe to say that there weren't that many black voices in the room when a lot of these movies were getting pitched also.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you on that one because I mean, I felt that way forever, man. It seems like forever, you know. I felt like I was the
Mm.
only person
Oh
in the
yeah.
world that was like, "Hey, man, like we need to not watch slaves, criminals, and all this other stuff as black people." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And to me, this is, I mean, I it's sort of in the same category, but not. But there are black love films,
Hmm.
but they're like the same. You know what I'm saying? It's like the same
They're all
story.
Tyler Perry movies.
Yeah, like Tyler Perry, or like, you know what I'm saying, like Underground,
I liked Underground.
Basic. They're cool, but I feel like we can do more. Like, to me, a pure romance film is not interesting. Like, it
Right.
has to be
Right.
like romance and something else. Like, yeah, you know, I got to go kick this dude ass and like save the world, but at the same time,
Yeah, and this is
I
kind of the.
think I love you, girl. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I
It
think
can't be one thing.
No, I agree. It's one of these things. It's exactly what happens when you don't have enough diverse voices when you're filmmaking, when you're ideating, when you're creating, when you're writing, when you're filming, and then you're editing. Because it's really important to stop centering these really, really negative kind of stories that are about only the most visceral parts of our culture. And I think
Mm,
constantly consuming those images, I don't think it breeds violence any more than you know playing a video game is going to make you go out and try to be Grand Theft Auto if nothing's mentally wrong with you.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it definitely kind of sets the table so that those are the only opportunities afforded to your creative prowess as a black person in the entertainment industry. So there's
Mhm.
got to be you know more promotion of breaking the molds, and let's also keep in mind that the more they break these molds on these old archetypal Bruce Willis style heroes, who are being recast as minorities, recast as women, maybe recast as gay folks, and they're just making a gay guy or a lady go out and be as brutal, and kill as many people as the badass cowboy guy. Do
Yeah,
we need that? Do, is
yeah,
it
yeah.
better if it's a pretty face doing all the stomping out and the killing? We just need maybe roles that fit that person a little bit better, or fit that
Mhm.
that category of people, represent them better.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot to say.
I know,
Cause
I know.
on one end, I'm like, there's a lot of people, because back in like the '90s and maybe like early 2000s, there were more films with black people in it where they were in like stereotypical roles, and I'm kind of just thinking, I'm like, yo, like, where are these people?
Yeah, where
It's
are they?
like they're stuck. Like, they can be seen as nothing else. Like, they're typecast. Like, this
Oh
this
yeah,
one guy, he's always just this evil dude. Like, he's in several popular and not so popular black films from that time, where he was just like a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? I
right.
think he was in a Menace to Society, and Kane like beat his ass or something like that. Like, this dude is nowhere. Like, I just haven't watched the films with him in it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but it's
Yeah,
like
and I
he's out of
think
work.
a lot of these guys, a lot of there's one of my favorite YouTube channels is called Comedy Hype. It's,
Yeah, yeah, I've seen it.
um, and they do a lot of these pieces on some of the like, where is this guy now? Where's the guy? Where's Urkel? The guy that played Urkel, things like that. And what you'll find in a lot of those stories is that those people refuse to be typecast in many ways, and just simply the opportunities and the calls dried up when they decided to get choosy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot to be said about there only being a certain amount of opportunities that are out of the box for certain black filmmakers, and it's very rare to see that opportunity go to an unknown black talent. A lot of times, even a serious role, it might even go to a black comedian who's already well known in their own right,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
have their own audiences and things like that prior to this film. So I think it's definitely like a repeating trope in Hollywood that there's only a certain amount of spots, and if you don't want it, or also you can wear the dress.
Mm-hmm. That's a whole other
That's a
conversation.
whole other, yeah, that's a whole other episode, and I mean, and it is a thing, but maybe we can, yeah, dig into that topic
Yeah.
um, sometime
So,
in the near future.
uh, prior to moving on, I kind of want to like just kind of throw this question out there. So, if you are like that particular actor and you get those kinds of roles, do you just continue to take them and hope that you just do well, or do you say, well, you know what, I don't want to be a thug no more? You know what I'm saying? I feel like I could put on a suit and tie, be educated. Fuck
Mm.
them same ass roles. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah,
Because it's like maybe one day one of these roles will like you'll perform so well that you'll take off and like you'll be recognized for something more or something. But for me, I
yeah.
mean, I don't know if I could take those roles.
I
But
mean, you
I
act, and
kind of see.
you've acted, and I'm sure you've read a script or two that didn't give you a good feeling in
Yeah,
terms of how
yeah,
you'd be portrayed, and how you'd come off. And I'm sure many people, and I'm sure there's a whole sea of women who have had this trouble in Hollywood, going like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be wearing what? Like, I'm supposed to be
Like,
saying what?
yeah, yeah. Like, nah, son, it's not happening. All right, we're gonna have to change the script right now.
But I think there's so much to be said about the powers that control what films get made and which don't, and that when you don't cooperate, many times you are de facto blackballed, and it doesn't matter how big of a star you are. As evidenced by
Hmm.
Dave Chappelle, and I don't want to use Wesley Snipes because he had the whole tax evasion thing, but there
Yeah,
was a time
yeah.
where he wasn't playing ball with Hollywood, and kind of went through a blackballing period, I believe, prior
Hmm.
to that. But I think the choice is either you take the role traditionally, or you don't get paid. You right, or you don't get
Yeah,
a, and the
yeah.
rumor will spread about you that you're difficult, and
He's
so
picky.
he's picky. He's picky. He's not grateful.
Yeah.
And a lot of these are tropes that have been used to keep the opportunity pool across many industries, including the entertainment industry, very small, and the opportunities very scarce for black folks, even at the risk of giving available roles to people who don't deserve them, don't earn them, don't have the talent to make an impact and bring the maximum amount of viewers. And what do you say to people who would rather not have the ratings and would rather not make the money that it would make them than to let you do that role?
Yeah.
How do you convince someone who's thinking it is that far gone? So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm sure a lot. It's almost like the prisoner's dilemma, as they call it. you know, what do you do if somebody makes you an offer you can't refuse?
Yeah, I mean, and then it's like in his situation, how do you know that you can't refuse it? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you know that there's gonna be nothing else out there for you?
I
You
don't think a
know?
lot of those guys assume that.